Hello everyone, and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. Given the overwhelming response to The Vortex we presented a few days ago on the Knights of Columbus, we felt obliged to offer a further insight, particularly since some further information was brought to our attention. Now, as a quick reminder, the issue is that the Knights who are pro-abortion and pro-homosexual marriage politicians are allowed to remain in the organization, contributing to the culture of death by the votes they cast in state houses and the U.S. Congress. The national leadership of the Knights says unless they are excommunicated by the bishop, they, the national leadership, can't kick them out. That still and always will ring absolutely hollow to us and many others. You don't need someone else's permission to kick someone out of your organization, but we've already been over that ground. First, the emails that we received broke down roughly into two categories, probably a 50-50 split. Many people asked me to reconsider my resignation and stay on and fight for reform from the inside. It's very well intentioned. Many others shared with us their story of having reached the same conclusion, that after much effort on their parts, they saw reform as essentially impossible and handed in their own resignations. What did surprise us as a little further was the rather large number of Grand Knights who wrote us and told us how saddened they were by the lack of change their own efforts was able to bring about and their decision to resign. That those many Grand Knights writing us was really kind of a surprise. Now for the new information, and it goes right to the heart of the challenge to stay in and fight for change from the inside. This is a magazine article from, catch this, 1992, nearly 20 years ago. It appeared in the magazine Fidelity. It details the struggle within a local council of the Knights to have an adamant pro-abortion fellow Knight removed from the council. This guy made no apologies for being a pro-abortion politician. He just came right out and said it. When Knight after Knight asked him to change his mind, he just persisted and moved straight on and stayed a pro-abortion Knight. So this story is the story of a council trying to get him removed. It's from a Knight. It's a story appears in Fidelity magazine, but it's written by a Knight. It goes into specific detail about the resistance and the struggle to solve the problem. The upshot of the article is this. The national leadership response back then to this unseemly affair was not to kick the pro-abort out, but to amend their laws, get this, to amend their bylaws to make it more difficult for charges to be brought against a fellow Knight, a pro-abortion Knight. Now, two things come to mind. First, there is a mindset on the part of the national leadership that no one should be removed regardless of how pro-culture of death that person is if he is a politician. Secondly, the date of this article is 1992, nearly 20 years ago. That tells me, and apparently many others as well, that there is no real possibility of changing this, that fighting from the inside is futile. As long as the bureaucracy remains in place and has enough support to maintain the status quo, which apparently it does, then resistance is futile. And for the record, the principle of resigning because a lot of the leadership is corrupt and exercises morally questionable prudential judgments in very important matters does not apply to the Church. The Knights of Columbus was not divinely established, nor it is a guarantor of the truth and a receptacle of all that is holy and pure and good. The Catholic Church is. The Knights of Columbus is not. And to reiterate, the Knights of Columbus does some very good work and has some that it numbers among its members excellent, outstanding, upstanding men, in particular on the local level. That, however, does not change the fact that the national leadership will not move against or even condone or allow efforts to expunge from its ranks men who are less than upstanding because they uphold the culture of death for both children and now traditional marriage. Reading this article, which we've provided a link for right over here, is eye-opening. It shows most vividly that in 20 years, nothing's changed. This is the same battle that was being fought then. It was essentially an entirely different crew running the show in 1992, and still nothing has changed. The essential problem just keeps getting passed down from one generation to the next, like abortion has been and homosexual marriage is about to be. Perhaps the best way to combat this now is to simply have entire councils themselves do some serious soul searching, and as an entire council withdraw from the Knights altogether and then reform as their own fraternal society that can do good without the complications of fellow members working against that good by how they cast their votes in government. Nothing else has worked so far, and logic would admit that moving along the current course, nothing will change. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.
Join Michael Voris and Real Catholic TV as we travel to Madrid, Spain for World Youth Day 2011. Catch all the action this August on our No Bull in Madrid website, nobullinmadrid.com, where you'll find the best kind of bullfighting. We'll be bringing you live coverage and special features, including the state of the faith in Spain among the millions of young people flocking there. So click on nobullinmadrid.com, where Real Catholic TV will be taking the bull by the horns for you.